hear me? Why do I not have sound? Hold on 1 second. Hello? Hello? Paul? Are you there? Why can't I hear you? I have I can't hear you. Properties. Hey everyone, sorry for the technical issues going on here. Still no sound. There we go.
Jamie?
Hey, now
yes.
I can hear you, yeah. I don't know why I was getting no sound from Messenger.
Wow.
But it appears to be better now. So what's going on?
I wrote a little theme tune, but I can't record it because I've got that thing on my computer where it says I've got no megabytes of memory. And I've deleted everything. So, what should I do? Should I just reboot my PC, do you think?
Probably.
It's been like that since October now, so all I can do is like, I can watch stuff online. I can't download anything. I've got no megabytes. I can't record any guitar or anything. I can't do anything.
Yeah, you should probably just reformat it. It sounds like I know there's certain viruses that just sort of act as if your memory's all eaten up, and when it really isn't.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
I don't know. I'm having computer issues myself. One of my hard drive I keep all my sound files on for recording died. Thankfully, I have like 70% of it backed up on other drives, but it still is going to be a headache getting it all back to the way it was. So, I gotta deal with that myself. I probably am just going to take my PC apart and put a new, bigger hard drive in it rather than use externals, because one of the problems I was reading about is sometimes it's not even it's not even the hard drive itself that messes up, it's the case that the external hard drives are in. So it's like everything might still be good on the drive itself, it could just be the case and the connections from that.
Yeah, well, yeah, we only paid 120 quid for it.
Yeah.
So I might just, I don't know if it's just, I might just ditch it, you know. And the only annoying thing is just, you know, I'm putting all the recording studio back on, like, you know, all the software again.
Yeah. That's why when I download software now, I have another hard drive that I keep all the copies of the programs on, just in case.
Shit, that would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
That would have been a good idea.
It's like I'm a little neurotic about backing things up, and thankfully, because this is why, because when things shit the bed, it's like, well, at least I have it. It might be a problem when I open the program and it's like, we can't find this file, and then I have to move things around, but I'll get it all working again. It just sucks. I had a project.
Do you want to talk about Cocaine Draw?
Huh?
Did you want to talk about Cocaine Draw?
Cocaine Jaw?
Cocaine Draw, yeah.
Who's that? Who did I mention? Roger Stone, like, it's almost like this sign language thing where he's constantly unfolding his hands, like, in front of you. You know,
You do it on camera, the big piece, the double piece he was doing, like a lunatic.
Oh, the Nixon, the double P signs.
It is looking weird.
YouTube is not. Oh, man.
It's not good for Trump, man.
I don't know. How is it not, though?
It just shows once again that Trump doesn't keep good company.
I mean, Roger Stone, everyone's known who Roger Stone is since the 70s and 80s. Like, he just is what he is, I feel like. And you know what the thing...
I guess I...
Here's the thing, like, Roger Stone is kind of like... He's always said he's a provocateur and everything like that, but I mean, it's like... Roger Stone is sort of like a 1 in a million character on the right wing. That's why he stands out so much, because it's like the right wing doesn't have many people like him or Milo, but their comparatives on the left wing are like everyone. And that's why they stand out so much.
I think he summed it up. I mean, that's his job, and his job is just to get in front of the cameras, cause this don't get dirt on people. I just think Alex Jones needs to get rid of him now.
I really never understood. But see, I'm just curious as to like what has changed about him that.
You got to agree with that, though, right? If Alex Jones had any common sense right now, he'll go enough of the cocaine jaw.
Well,
couple of months anyway.
Let me.
I mean, just lay off.
Well, no, but here's the thing though is
lay off the nicks and tattoos.
I don't understand the reason for saying it now, but I never understood the reason for bringing him on in the first place. Like that's.
Yeah, I think that's Alex's handler.
I see now that I could see. And, you know, I did see Alex saying the other day something about how people are, you know, keep going, Alex, you know, you should get back into the occult. It should stop being this whole 2-year Trump thing. And it's like, I've been saying that for a while. I can't see Stone taking orders. That's my hang up on that.
Well, even from I can. Like Alex Jones has been Trump's a bit too much for Trump mouthpiece, perhaps.
Yeah,
and Roger Stone is the kind of thing. The indictment's about 2 people. It's Jerome Corsi's one of them.
Yeah.
Again. Not really dodgy on Alex Jones again. Alex was paying him $15,000 a month.
I could see that.
$15,000 a month. Come on.
Well, you got to realize though, Corsi, like his history and stuff. Like if you're gonna have him working for you, I figure that's his like going rate. Because Corsi was into
well,
banking and stuff like that. You're paying someone who understands banking and stuff to be a reporter. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you got to give them something worth their time. Corsi could make double that doing other things, I'm sure.
It's like, it's an indictment stone. I don't know what you guys call it. But whatever you call it. Let's do one of Jerome Corsi who's grassed him up.
Yeah.
And person number one is that go-between between Julian Assange and Roger Stone. That guy that keeps hanging around with Julian Assange. Some reporter. Cardoso or something. He's got some weird name like that. Don't know if you can remember who it is.
I don't know. It's not.
And Roger Stone's been threatening both of them.
But it's still just like fake news stuff where it's like, where it's like there's still nothing substantial tied to Russia. I mean, it's really like kabuki theater.
No,
I feel like.
Yeah, it's not about Roger Stone. It's about getting to Trump.
Yeah. Well, and it's about it. Here's the thing too. They've even said outright the people involved with the Russia probe have said the probe is about to be ending. So what this whole charade was for is to create public appearance that Roger Stone has done something wrong. That's why you need the SWAT teams and everything like that. So then when the Russian investigation ends and falls to pieces, the media has to find a way to twist the narrative so that Trump was able to get away with it. That, you know, these are bad guys and they were able to pull the wool over and, you know, conceal this and basically make it as if, you know, the collusion is so deep they weren't even able to you know, catch it. Like, that's what I think it is. I think they're crafting the narrative for when the Russian collusion case itself ends.
I just think it was all just for TV. And the fact that CNN got tipped off.
Well, it is.
I think Roger Stone's loving it.
Yeah.
That will probably get Roger Stone off.
Yeah.
I don't know how your law works, but the fact they filmed the raid, it's probably going to be the same thing that gets Roger Stone off.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I really feel like it was all just a show put on so that they'll have a way to keep the narrative going when the case has ended. To basically,
you know, why has he got a Nixon tattoo on his back?
He used to work for Nixon.
Yeah, so he has got a Nixon tattoo on his back. Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, you don't know. Bit weird, isn't it?
Not if you... I mean, Roger Stone was a political prodigy at 17.
How's that going to go down in prison? Can you imagine that in prison? People are going to laugh about fucking that with that and stand back at you.
There's no way... Stone going to prison is as likely as Hillary going.
He'll like it.
If Stone's going to the same... Let me put it like this. No, Stone will go to...
Let me get it.
Stone will go to the same prison Jeffrey Epstein's in.
Right.
That's how that goes. I mean, what would he go to prison on? He hasn't done anything. That's what I'm saying. This is all about
nonsense.
I was watching this episode of Supergirl that I'm going to do a whole video on because it's got this media and everything else so that they, like, I'm telling you, it's all just about narrative. It's not even about the case or details or criminality or anything like that. It's just lies on top of lies on top of lies, and perception is reality.
There's going to be stuff in... I agree, it is going to be all lies, and exaggerations. But they are going to find Russian mafia collusion, at least. I would have thought. That had anything. I don't think that's going to have anything to do to prove that had anything to do with the election. Would be another thing altogether.
Yeah,
they will definitely find.
Now that I could agree with if there were Trump buildings in Russia, but from what I'm aware, he doesn't even have any real estate in Russia.
I think Putin does. I think Putin's was given his own suite in the Trump Tower, wasn't he?
I don't know. I haven't.
I think he might.
I haven't
He
heard
might now.
anything of it.
Yeah, well, I think the mafia collusion comes in just because when Trump was in New York, the Russian mafia do own a lot of the industrial work.
Well,
I
yeah.
think that's where
So
they've got the link.
so does every other mafia, the Italians,
Yeah,
and
sure. But I'm
yeah.
just saying there will be. It looks like there will be
Yeah, like you could
some
just because
kind.
he worked in real
And
estate,
Trump,
you could pull up some sort of
that's
mobster
what I mean.
tie
It's not
to.
looking good for Trump. It's showing again the kind of company that Trump is keeping. If it's not the Clintons, he was friends with Epstein. I'm not buying. I just think Trump was in on the show too. This show piece that Roger Stone's milking. It suits Trump quite well. So Stone's loving it. It's just so dumb. I just think we're being played, man. I just think it's all just a TV show, you know. I'm not trusting Trump that much, so much.
I don't know. I don't. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, like, like one of the things I would say about Obama, especially the longer he was in office, where people would go on about, oh, the birth certificate, is his father Frank Marshall Davis, and this, and that, and I would say, I understand his whole.
Michael.
I understand his whole backstory is like manufactured, and it's all very shady, and his time with like the Jeremiah Wright and all the stuff in Chicago and everything like that, and
His
same
adopted kids. That's weird.
the adopted kids, and same could be said about Hillary Clinton and everything concerning her personal life, but when you have someone like a Clinton or an Obama in office and they've done so much legislation, it's like you could make a case against this person on the legislation alone. Like, where it's like, Obamacare is bad for America because X, Y, and Z. The National Defense Authorization Act is bad for America because of X, Y, and Z. Same about George Bush. Skull and bones, the ties to the Bin Ladens, whatever, whatever. But you could make a whole case against him just on the Patriot Act and, all of the bills in which he's, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get...
Well, okay.
I
Well,
get...
let's do that. Yeah, you're right, but let's do that then.
But
What
I
about all
can't
these
do that for
immigrants he's gonna
Trump.
give amnesty to? What were the numbers? They were saying crazy, weren't they? Some crazy numbers, like 700,000 or something.
Well, he was offering that for the wall, but
Yeah.
but they're not giving him the wall, so that's not going to happen.
I don't know, man. I think we're being played, man. I don't like the company. I don't like Trump's history. I don't like his company he's keeping. He is a bit of a piece of shit when you look at his history. Like him and Roger Stone go back a long time. Him and Epstein go back a long time. He did go to that private island. Bad company with the Clintons. That's really bad company. He was pretty close to them. And to believe that they're enemies now, I'm not so sure. Hillary never got locked up.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. There isn't a fucking wall.
Well, but see, the Hillary being locked up, I mean, it's almost like the idea of that happening is a joke. I mean, look at what the FBI is focused on. Russian collusion. Like, do you think the same people on this witch hunt for Russian collusion are going to, go after Hillary Clinton? Like, I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense. I mean,
Yeah,
but
I still think Trump's keeping really bad company, though.
I don't know. I can't.
He's got all these Goldman Sachs that he brought back.
I mean, I've been at plenty of public events and parties and places where I've been shoulder to shoulder shooting the shit with scummy people that I don't like, and I'm probably in photos with them and everything else, but I'm not friends with them. I'm not calling them on my free time. So I get very worried about making those accusations because I know they could be made against me and I know they would be false.
You're not hanging around with paedophiles that got paedophile islands.
But I've hung around with people that I've hung around with plenty of people that have been arrested for stealing, murder.
Shit, bro.
I mean, it's like things like that.
Paedophile island, man. He hangs around with people paedophile. He was a piece of shit to his family. Let's face it, he's a piece of shit to his family.
How do you say that?
Well, he cheated on Ivanica quite a lot. Whatever it's Milana, sorry, quite a few times.
Yeah, but it's still in that.
Yeah, but it's shitty, dude. That is shitty. Come on.
But you don't know the dynamics of their relationship. Roger Stone and his wife look for partners for orgies.
Yeah, right.
So they do that together. So
That's
I mean,
what
again,
I just
it's
find
like
the whole thing slimy. It's not good.
do you really
It's just
think?
full of slime.
Do you really
Little
think?
goblins.
Hold on, but do you really
swamp
think?
things.
Do you really think supermodel Melania Trump isn't off fucking other guys while having this 70-year-old billionaire husband?
I don't think it's good, man. I just don't. It's just starting to look a bit more ugly.
I
Trump.
just think all of the personal life talk, there's a fine line between like inference and gossip that just, yeah, I don't even like having these conversations because I don't know him personally. So by me just saying, well, he's on his third wife, therefore he's a bad person. Okay, I mean the divorce rates in America are like 60 to 70%, so 70% of America's bad. Like I don't know what fruitful, what comes of that. Like, I mean, it's just all that sort of seems like is it just descends into like nihilism, where it's like, I mean, Trump really in a lot of ways, like everything you could say about Trump that's bad, just sort of is reflective of America at this point. Like. Is being on your, like I would make that case to people when the grab him by the pussy thing happened, and I'm like, I'm not looking for Jesus as a president. Like I know he's a flawed person, but I'd rather have someone who's upfront about being flawed than someone like Obama who's sold to us as holier than thou.
The thing that I find with Trump that's annoying me, like this, you're gonna go crazy when I say this, but when I look at the Trump thing, it does seem a bit like cognitive dissonance, like how we look at the left defending everything. Everything Trump does is being defended now. There isn't really any, like Alex Jones, like people are either just completely onto Trump or they're not. There's none of this middle ground anymore, where the left and right are the same. What happens to that principle, that the two-headed snake? Like, I still think it's the same thing. I just think whoever would have got in, whether it's Trump or Hillary, you're still in the same situation as what you were in. You've got a mess in foreign policy-wise. Like, Israel's a complete lunacy at the moment. You've got stuff going on in Syria still. You've got Yemen still going on. You've got the CIA involved in a coup over Venezuela. I mean, that's on record. The CIA are doing that.
Yeah.
Doing this coup and that. Like, has anything really changed for America since Trump's been? As far as I can see, I might have been brainwashed. I'm not really. It's like Trump can't do anything wrong. Like, he hangs around with paedophiles. His foreign policy is just as bad as Obama's, really. Okay, it's not funding ISIS. I'll give him that.
Yeah. I mean, there's
maybe that's a step.
Well, and he wants
what he's
to
up to in Yemen still.
He wants to pull out of Syria and a lot of the places.
Not happening, is it?
But but I mean, again, there's checks and balances. Like, we don't have a monarch or a dictator, and that's part of the issue. And here's one of the arguments against him, where and it backs your case, is who did I hear saying this? I think it was Bill Whittle actually. Where he was saying, everyone was saying when Obama was in office and Obama was ramming through all this stuff where they were like, all right, we need to stop him. When the Republicans take back control of the House, we'll do it. And then they took control of the House. Well, then they took control of the Senate. Then they took control of the White House, too. And they had all three. And that would have been the time to get everything accomplished. But they didn't. Why not? I mean, now as far as the good things he's done, prison reform, the deregulating the hemp industry, which that's going to go into deregulating marijuana, very hard on the border security, very big on jobs. So a lot of the internal American stuff, he's very good on. The outside, like you're saying, foreign policy stuff, well, that's still a mess. But I think part of the problem on that is he's deferring a lot of that decision making to people who have invested interests in war and war profiteering, And while Trump may want there to be peace and peace through strength, some of these other people don't want that. And I mean, it's like, it's really weird how I see this issue with the left now, where, like, you know, the left claims to be anti-war, but then all it takes is Michelle Obama holding up an index card saying, "Bring back our girls," and they're ready to invade Africa. And then after we're there, they're going to say, "Oh, well, we're imperialists. Why are we all over the place, and this, and that?" And it's like, I do see a bit of that two-headed snake thing going on, where it's almost like a damned if you do, damned if you don't type deal. Where it's like, you know, they'll push for you to do something, and then after you've done it, if you do it for too long, well, now it's an issue.
Venezuela is an exact example of what America's foreign policy's all been about. Where if you look at Venezuela on the map, Cuba's above it, I guess, and Panama. I mean, remember, Panama's right next door. And the reason why I think Panama is important is because you can always look at the Panama Papers and the Panama scandals. But how many expats are in Venezuela, do you reckon, in that area? I mean, you're probably looking at the equivalent of 9 US states worth of Americans in that area. Like, it's completely run by expats. And now you've got the CIA meddling in there, toppling yet another government. And it's a crazy town.
Well, and the thing, too, about Venezuela
this is Trump's meddling again.
Well, and the thing about
American foreign policy again, meddling.
The thing about the Venezuela thing too is it's, you know, it almost is very similar to, like I was saying about the Coney thing, where it's being sold to us as we have to do something. It's a humanitarian crisis, and it's like, okay, well, how do we solve our humanitarian crises with soldiers? You know, like, it's. I mean, granted, I guess you have to get the guy who's in charge out of there, but still, like, to some extent, like, if our country is in such shitty shape, you gotta be willing to sort of turn a blind eye to some of these places where it's like, you've made your bed, you gotta lay in it, and then, you know, you gotta pull yourself out of it.
I worry how the elections are going to look when they next run, because there's so much easy hatred towards Trump, and so much, it's so easy to take the piss out, obviously, you probably know. Who are they going to put up against him, and how easy is it going to be for them?
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that easy for them, as easy as they think it's going to be. Because I've already seen, I saw a thing about...
Well, Hillary's going to run again, apparently. I mean, I heard she can't even stand up or walk, but apparently she's running.
I heard that you have...
Yeah, I mean, she can't even stand up and she's running.
I've heard you have the
She'll be falling over a lot.
The CEO of Starbucks is considering running, and the Democrats, even though this guy leans towards...
Was that guy? They had that heckler going, "Fuck off, you billionaire." Was that the same? Is that guy?
I don't know, maybe. But
yeah, I
know the Democrats are very, very up in arms about it, because what it would be is it would essentially be what Trump was to the Republican Party, he would be to the Democrat Party, and they don't like the idea of someone that doesn't have the strings attached coming in on their ship and trying to, because they're basically just saying if he runs, it's going to give Trump the election because it's going to take away votes from whoever our official candidate is.
Well, you should see what things are like in the UK, like Brexit. Have you been following that? It's got insane.
No, not really. I've been seeing Sargon has been doing some interviews, but I haven't checked any of them.
Well, Theresa May went back because the EU have refused her deal, so she went back with the other deal, and the EU are just like, no, 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 and told her to fuck off.
Well, I mean, Brexit is very much akin to, like, the wall over here, where it's like, you know, because the similarity is both of them concern unregulated amounts of people just pouring into the countries.
We're going to have a second referendum on it by the looks of it. Either it's no deal in a month's time. That's where we're headed. It's no deal. I can't see that happening. So it looks like we're going to have a second referendum, which is insane. And then we've got an election. We're going to have an election coming up, and I think they're just going to run on cancelling Brexit. Just go and look. It's caused chaos. Let's just forget about the whole thing. The whole idea was a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fucking insane, man. Just lunacy. That's all we get in England. Just Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. Brexit. What about Brexit? What Brexit? I mean, what Brexit? And we had that vote. When was it? 2016 or 2015? I think it's 2016. Jesus Christ. And you look at France. Like, what are we staying in for? Italy won out. France. You've seen France. They're going to be at week 12 of this protest. Week 12. Like, everything in Paris is shut on a weekend, for the whole weekend, 12 weeks in a row. And as soon as someone dies in Paris, that's going to be a catalysm. It's going to be like a martyr. And I mean, I guess you could say it's not America, but looking at New York with the abortion, the pink New York Empire State Building.
Yeah, that you know, that's what.
That's dark.
That shit really is, and it's interesting. I was talking to my my boss at work about it, and I was saying how, you know, because she was basically, her question was like, you know, if you're gonna have an abortion, why would you go to term with it? Like, why would you let it get that far and then decide that? And I said, well, what I think you're going to end up having happening is you're going to have sort of businesses pop up where they're going to go to these women and say, we'll pay you to carry it to...
They're going to do concessions to help you with parenting, and they're going to keep implanting the idea of terminating.
Well, not only that, but I think they're going to just go to these women and say, you know, we will pay you to carry it to 9 months and then pay you to abort the baby so then we can harvest the organs and the cells and the whatever and then use it for, you know, either demonic sacrifices or science experiments and stuff like that. And my boss, I was surprised she wasn't even like, she told me, she was like, you know, there's a skin product I used to use and they found out that there was like something from women's placentas used in the skin product, and now granted it was all harvest by the books and the women,
well, yeah, that's
you
what
know.
I was thinking. Now makeup, none of this makeup's animal tested, and vegans are so worried about animal testing. It's like, what do you think they're testing it on then?
Yeah, and that's what she was saying. The beauty industry has always had a checkered past of products with fetal tissue and cells and all sorts of nonsense in it. And so, you know, she wasn't shocked at all when I was saying you're going to have some sort of industry try to capitalize on this. But yeah, that abortion thing, that shit is ridiculous. But I mean, it's coming from Cuomo, and he was the same guy that said years ago, if you're pro-gun, against abortion, and something else, get out of New York. I mean, that should have been should have been looked at as like a battle cry. That, you know, this guy, the longer he stays in office, the agenda is just going to go even more in this direction.
Did you check out that gay black dude? I don't know who he is. The alleged hate crime that happened.
The guy from Empire. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting about how the reports say, you know, they said, you know, the person yelled, "This is MAGA country," even though the police reports don't have anything about that in it. And I'm just like, so where did that line come from that was being shouted? I mean, I honestly think, like, this happened in Chicago. I bet when the people are captured, you're going to find out that they'll be Muslim.
Have you seen the Obama clip?
No.
Check out, what's that guy's name?
I don't know it offhand. I'll look it up.
Find out quickly what that guy's Empire. There's a video clip where he's on the red carpet with some girl. Some, like, you know, freaking Hollywood model idiot.
Yeah.
And this reporter goes up to him and goes, "Oh, where's the weirdest place you had sex outside?" And she goes, "Oh, tell him about Obama." And then it gets weird from there. It's like, oh, I can't tell you that story. It's like, and it's like, yeah, tell us about the Obama outside sex story. And it's like, I can't go into that right now. I can't go into that. There's probably like secret surface and like laughing. And look for, check it out though, that clip. You not seen that?
No.
Hilarious. And I'll try and send it to you.
Oh.
What's that dickhead's name to say?
Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, he fucked Obama, dude. There's a clip where he admits it. He's on the red carpet, and why can't I? They must have tried to get rid of this clip.
Yeah, I mean, if I search that guy's name and Obama and sex, everything that's coming up is about the attack.
Yeah, that's why it's quite convenient, I guess. Like, let me describe again. So it's on the red carpet of this girl, and and the interviewer goes, "Oh, where's the weirdest place you have outdoor sex?" And his girlfriend goes, "Tell them the Obama story." And he's like, "Oh, no, I can't. No. Definitely can't tell the Obama story." And then he goes, "Oh, yeah," he goes, "Anyway, it was before he was elected anyway, so." I'm going to find this fucker, man. Fuck you, Google. Like, Google isn't what it used to be.
No, I mean, I saw even a video where, I didn't watch it yet, but, who's it? James Alsop did a video where he's saying that, YouTube now and Google are admitting that they mess with your search results. So, I mean, yeah, they would be making it harder to find things.
What the fuck? Yeah, why, Jamie? Why can we not find the most? No, you just have to take a life. I'll find it for you one day. Yeah, it's fucking weird. So yeah, this guy butt fucked Obama apparently, and now this weird attack happened.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know.
That's completely fucked Google search.
To some extent, though, and I hate to sound cynical about this, but I almost doubt that this attack even happened. I think the timing is very opportunistic, where it's like,
what was he doing outside Subway at like 3 in the morning?
Right. Well, and
what was the temperature? It would have been like -17 or something.
Yeah, I hear Chicago right now is like brutally cold. Like,
so he was out at 3 a.m. in a brutal cold because he was so hungry he went to Subway.
Yeah, I don't know.
In Chicago, in the middle of Chicago.
Well, and
then he happened to bump into some people that were Trump's. What?
Well, and because you know what the thing is, and again, this is why I said the Roger Stone thing is more about crafting narrative than any sort of legal case or anything, where it's like, you just had it where you had this whole big hoopla with those Catholic school kids, and you had idiots like Angela Rye on CNN saying the MAGA hat is the new KKK hood, basically.
It is, they're right.
And then, well, they're trying to make it that way, and what is this story enforce the perception?
Next it'll be Nixon tattoos.
Like I mean, even the whole thing about that story where it's like, okay, so you had these MAGA supporters who like were wearing MAGA hats, but then put ski masks on top of their MAGA hats, and they just happened to have a rope around them with them to put around this guy's neck, and like the odds of them just bumping into an A-list actor and being like, "Hey, you're that nigger from Empire." Like, it's so cartoonish that I can't even, like, there's just so many little details of that story that seem so improbable that it's mind-boggling. Like you said, what was he doing at 3 a.m. in Chicago? Why are you outside a Subway at 3 a.m.? How are these supporters,
When it's -17.
I mean, okay, at -17, it makes sense that you're wearing a ski mask, like, as far as the assailants, but ski masks and MAGA hats, how do you pull that off? And why do you just have rope? Why are you just walking around with a rope like you're out and about, like, to do a lynch? Like, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. I have such a hard time believing that story even happened. And not only that, like, the other thing that bothers me is the add-ons, where it's like, let me tell you, I've met a handful of people that have a handful of...
If it happened, he's got some hilarious mates.
Huh?
If it happened, which is a big if, I would say he's got some hilarious mates with like a weird sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
I mean, and the other thing too, though, is like, generally, if you look at even hate groups through history, like, the whole compounding thing that the left does of, like, the racist, sexist, homophobic, misogynist. All right, so now let's look at what the person who lives that way would be like. Well, they wouldn't be around many women because they're a misogynist. They would only be around other white guys because, they're racist, but they're also homophobic. So even though they're assholes to dicks, they're, not sucking cock, so they're not getting laid at all. So it's just what? Straight white men and a club of straight white men that hate everyone else. And what do they do? Like, you know what I mean? There's almost like an impracticality to thinking someone is a sexist, racist, misogynist, and like the whole list combined into one. Because it's like, well, if you were a sexist and you hated women and hated having women around, well, then who are you going to fuck? Well, you then assume they would probably be fucking guys or something. But they're also homophobes, so they're not doing that. So it's like... You know what I mean? If it was just a racist attack, I would say, okay, I could see that. If it was just an attack on him for being gay, I could buy that. It's when these things get compounded together, when it's like, Jesse or whatever his name is gets attacked in the homophobic racist attack. And it's like, I don't know about that. Like, now you've inferred two things about motive, but there's just saying, oh, it's because he said, faggot nigger or whatever. Like, I had a girl at my one job recently. She got into an altercation with with a guy who lives in the same apartment complex as her. And she basically had a mental breakdown because a guy called her the N-word. And I tried making the point to her, and because she was trying to say that, oh, this guy's racist, he must be racist, he called me a nigger, this, and that. And I told her, I said, listen, I grew up in a school where I was the minority and black kids were the majority. And there were plenty of altercations where I could have made that thing go from 0 to 100 by calling someone the N-word when they were pressing me. But you know why I didn't? And she was like, why? I said, because it would have been a kick to the balls. It would have been the easy thing to do to get a rise. It's the low blow. It's the easiest thing to go to make someone lose their shit. And so it's like, it doesn't necessarily imply that someone is racist. It's just the quickest, most aggravating thing that they can easily go to that would get a rise out of you, and it worked. Like, I mean, that's the whole thing about it. Like, to think that, someone goes up to a gay person and is like, oh, blah, blah, fuck you, you fucking faggot. To think that then infers that they have deep-rooted fear and hatred of people who are homosexuals. It's like, no, it's just they know you're gay and they know you're going to flip your shit if they call you that one word, because we're trained to be overly sensitive to these certain words for whatever reason that then make people lose their shit. It's easy. That's why people do it. It's the easiest thing for them to do to aggravate someone. And to then try to think you have a deep insight into someone over them using one word is so naive.
I just think you've got to look at the systematic racism, Jamie, and maybe you can understand. Like, why don't you just check your privilege?
I should.
You can get an app now to do that.
You know, I was watching Crowder did an interview with John Stossel yesterday, and it was mainly about healthcare and stuff like that. And there was something in that I have a new theory that the whole reason liberals and the left buy into the narrative of white privilege is because all of their ideas are really steeped in it, where they are so far removed from black people or colored people or, you know, anyone that isn't white. They're so far removed from their lives that they come up with these asinine positions like voter ID laws are racist, that they advocate for things, and the things they advocate are really like things that I would see. It's white privilege to think that, you know, voting ID laws are racist because you look down upon black people that much. Like, it's really the left that's the side that operates in that sort of white privileged mindset. I was going to write up a whole article on it. I had a whole list of things last night, and I've suddenly forgot them all today. I really need to get back in the habit of taking notes as this shit comes to mind.
The one that's wound me up a lot is Michael Jackson hitting the headlines with that documentary.
I read something about that his estate wasn't too happy about it.
It's a 4-hour documentary exposing how Michael Jackson was a paedophile. And he's got some pretty amazing claims in there, and so people said that it's just shocking evidence. How could we have missed Michael Jackson being a pedo? And this is like, this will destroy Michael Jackson's legacy. Michael Jackson has a wedding with a child. Weird child wedding. So this piece of shit, this film's based on 2 kids. My research is pretty lazy. I didn't check one of the kids. I didn't even bother checking his story. But I checked the story of one of the kids after reading about kid exposes pedo. And this kid was best friends with Wacko Jacko. You might remember him. I hung around with Wacko all the time. And he was the first witness in a Michael Jackson trial to say that Michael Jackson was completely innocent. And when Michael Jackson died, he milked it when Michael Jackson died, saying how great Michael Jackson was. He does all these dance tributes to him. He does all these like proper dances, these proper stage productions, all in tribute of Michael Jackson. Then he goes on talk show hosts, these like American Friday night, 10 o'clock prime time, and people are joking with him, going, "So why did Michael Jackson touch you?" And he was like, "No, Michael would never do that. That's all bullshit. That's all bullshit." He then auditions for Circus du Soleil for Michael Jackson. Doesn't get the audition. He's going to do all the production for it because he was Michael Jackson's friend and he's done all the dance stuff before. He's done all dance productions before. Got rejected. Then he comes out and goes, "Michael Jackson raped me." And it's like, what is this in your film? Is any of this bit in your 4-hour documentary? The fact that he defended Michael Jackson way into his death. He milked his death. He made a lot of money.
Well, and that's what he's still doing.
All this dancing, If you were raped by Michael Jackson, would you dance in the style of Michael Jackson in tribute to him? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Well, I would think that that's all this is them just continuing, them shifting the narrative to continue to milk the, what they can from him.
The media how come all the media are buying it? And this is a shocking claims. And then even if his claims are true, they're not really that, and they're weird, they're not really like illegal. What's that kid's name? I can't remember.
It says, hold on. It's, Wade Robson and
Yeah, that's
James
the one. Wade
Safechuck.
Robson. So Wade Robson testified in court in support of Michael Jackson. He was the first key witness. And I didn't say anything because of the shame. Oh, the shame. And then I just danced like him in tribute because of the shame. Oh, the shame. And then I tried to do that Circus du Soleil Michael Jackson show. I did all this work and all this production, all these auditions, and then they rejected me. And then...
Well, it did say, reacting to the documentary on Friday night, the late singer's estate branded it the kind of tabloid character assassination Michael Jackson endured in life and now in death. In a statement, it also accused Robson and Safechuck as being two perjurers in reference to sworn statements they gave while Jackson was alive, stating he had not molested them.
Well, the evidence is got, I can't remember, there's 5 key claims. One of them was he brought in wedding jewellery and did a mock wedding or something. I don't even know what that means. And it doesn't sound illegal, even if it did happen. That's not sex of a child, is it? That's shocking.
Well, and you know what the thing
and then
is,
the next allegation was, I don't know, what was the next one? It was something weird. It was like, oh yeah, they did drills to exit Neverland Ranch. It's like, okay, well, not really a shocking claim, is it?
well, yeah, even the mock wedding thing, like, everyone said that Michael Jackson had this, like, childlike, you know...
Oh, yeah, the next shocking claim. Michael Jackson brought him a fax machine, and he sent him faxes saying, "You're great, I love you, you're super, you're amazing," like, just faxes after faxes.
Like, here's the thing that, you know...
that is paedophilic behaviour.
Well, like...
He sent him drawings via fax.
The thing I'm curious...
Like in the top 5 shocking things you
yeah,
know about Michael Jackson.
The thing
he sent faxes to children.
The thing I'm curious about is, like, how is the media trying to say that, like, a mock wedding is...
Damie.
What?
It's paedophile MO. They always fax kids cartoons.
Yeah, right?
You know you're dealing with a paedophile when you've got a handful of faxed cartoons, bro.
Well, it's
what
like...
more evidence do you need?
Like, I saw a really good meme, actually, during that Covington thing, where they said, you know, what do you think the media was outraged about this week? And they had the picture of the Covington kid smirking, and then they had a picture of the one drag kid next to the naked man. And it's like, the same media that is saying... dress little boys up like women, let them shake their ass on stage like strippers, and have them eye level to a grown man's dick, is trying to say Michael Jackson doing a mock fake wedding dress up pretend time with a little kid is damning, but little kid dancing on stage like a stripper should be applauded and celebrated. Like, they're so two-faced with this whole attitude towards children. Like, it really just makes you realize they see children as pawns in their game, where it's like 1 second they'll be like, we care about the kids, we care about them so much, we want to slap a dick on their forehead. And it's like, what? You know, mock weddings are bad because I guess monogamy is an evil, outdated construct that should be abolished. So that's probably why they have an issue with the mock wedding. I mean, the other thing too is, like, I don't, like, to some extent, like, you know, you look at the allegations against someone like Bryan Singer, and Bryan Singer's accusations are, like, straight up and down predator. Like, he threw a party, he promised us in that moment gifts and all of this stuff in exchange, parts in movies, and then they were just drugging us and raping us and threw us to the curb. And it's like, they're almost trying to establish that with Michael Jackson by saying, oh, well, he had these boys, and then, you know, he ditched them for younger ones. There, he's talking about the amount of attention and guilt you see in, like, a Bryan Singer type character. Where it's like, to some extent, I could say, you know,
his parents also defended Michael Jackson for years and years and knew.
Well, the thing I was going to say is, you know, I remember Gavin McInnes talking about, you know, if here's let me just say hypothetically, if we were to make a case with what's known in the public narrative about Michael Jackson and sexual impropriety towards children, you know, Gavin McInnes, I remember in one episode of his show, would talk about, you know, the sort of sexual foolishness of children in suburban America, and he said him and I think his brothers or someone, they had this game, and it was called Who Are You? And what it was they would take one of the kids, they would put a cardboard box on the kid, and then one of the other kids would stick their dick into a hole in the box, and the kid would grab the other child's penis and have to guess which of the other kids it was. You know, like, just sexual curiousness and the foolishness of children, and, you know, just, I mean, it's like there's a level of ridiculousness to it where it seems sort of like innocent, foolish, yet curious, like stuff you could imagine children doing, right? So if they've made this case for years that Michael Jackson had no childhood and he was like a child, and, you know, I would almost expect if there were to be molestation and sexual impropriety charges for it to be a story like that, where it's like, not that Michael Jackson was grooming them and had them on all fours fondling themselves while he masturbated, but like a sort of silly little sexual game or something, or maybe him and all the kids go skinny dipping together or something. Like, I would almost expect this is going to sound really odd saying it, but I would almost expect there to be an air of sort of childlike innocence, as much as you could have one with grown men and small children. But you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, if they've made this case that Michael Jackson was an amazing performer but always had this child mind, you know, towards everything, then how come they're trying to make him out to be, like, full-level adult child predator?
Jane, he gave kids jewelry.
I know. I guess by that measure, every Jewish kid who received a watch at his bar mitzvah has been molested. I don't know.
The thing is, like, when this happened, when this news broke, I was like, oh shit, I was wrong about Michael Jackson. So it's all over the news. I was like, oh shit, I must have been wrong. I'll have to check this out at some point. I spent an hour checking it out, and I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
It's more dumb than the first time they tried it. And where are these younger victims then? The replacements, where are they?
Yeah.
Now, he did some weird interviews on TMZ. He got caught in an airport and I was going, oh, why did you do this film about Michael Jackson? He was going, it's not really about Michael Jackson, it's about the bigger picture of child abuse. I'm more focusing on the other projects of child abuse, not really this. And it's like, what?
Well, the thing too is, and I don't know if maybe the article I have up is just comprised of tweets, but you know, you have this article here I have up from the Daily Mail, and it essentially is just saying the same thing over and over again, where it's like, I mean, let's see right here, we'll count. Explosive documentary Leaving Neverland claims Michael Jackson gave boys jewelry in exchange for sex acts and staged full mock wedding before ditching them for younger witnesses. Now,
what if the mock wedding was an actual mock wedding? Because he did get married, didn't he?
Yeah.
So what if it was actually a mock wedding?
See, and this is what I'm saying.
Fucking around and got this kid to do it.
This is what I'm saying with the mock wedding thing, though. Is like that's the type of thing little kids do. Is they play pretend, they play house. They would do they pretend they're their parents at work. That's the childlike innocence thing I'm talking about. Where it's like that could easily just be him having young kids over, them wanting to play pretend. Like, whose idea was the mock wedding? That's what I wonder. Maybe one of the kids were like, I want to get married. And he's like, oh, you want to get married? Let me call up some people and we'll get some outfits and we'll have a wedding. Why not? Like, it's like, but anyway, so let me make my point here. So you have that in the headlines here, right? Now, two spaces down, MJ gave one of his young victims jewelry in exchange for sexual acts and even exchanged mocked wedding, wrote Patrick Ryan. So we have that. Scroll down again. Let's see. Among many of the disturbing revelations in Leaving Neverland, MJ gave one of his victims jewelry in exchange for sex acts and even exchanged a mock wedding, complete with vows, wrote Patrick Ryan of USA Today. Scroll down again to the quote. Patrick Ryan, among many of the disturbing revelations Leaving Neverland, MJ gave one of his young victims jewelry in exchange for sex acts. And I mean, it's like, they like you said, they have these 5 bullet points, and it's like, here it is in the headline. Here it is in the bullet points. Here it is here. It's like the Hitler thing. If you repeat a lie enough, it becomes true. So you have an article that's just saying the same thing over and over and over and over.
This is a 4-hour documentary. They dragged it out for 4 hours.
And that's the other thing that's real surprising about this. How do you
They're gonna have to show it over 2 nights.
How do you have a 4-hour documentary and then you write an article about it that's making the same 4 points verbatim?
Because it reminds me of that Paradise Lost, where they did a good 12 hours and didn't mention any of the shadiness about Damien Eccles. They managed to miss all of it. And that was 12 hours.
And both of these two that are making the allegations look very, very shady themselves.
If you have to drag out 5 points in 4 hours, yeah, I think it's just got lots of dramatic music and lots of.
Well, and you know what my question would be, and let's just go with their narrative. Let's just go with their narrative hypothetically. Hold on, let me make this point. Let's just go with their narrative hypothetically that Michael Jackson was a monster and a fiend grooming children. So, which of the children that Michael Jackson molested are now molesting children? Because you have what's called the cycle of abuse. So I want to know which of these 2 scumbags that were involved in this documentary are molesting children. Because the probability that Michael Jackson was grooming and molesting all of these children would end up where there would be at least 1 or 2, if not a handful of children that were groomed and molested by Michael Jackson that believe that's how adults show their love to children. They would be molesting children. That's what happens all the time. The abused become abusers. So, where are the kids being molested by Michael Jackson's victims, basically? That's my question. Because these 2 look old enough to be doing so. If you
just saw all these headlines, that's going to change public opinion a lot. They're just going to see the headline and go, okay, it's confirmed, Michael's a pedo.
Abused from the age of 7 to 14. You don't go through 7 years of grooming and being molested and then just...
And not have any evidence.
Yeah. Not have any evidence, but let alone, like, be after death saying this guy is still great and everything like that, and then just decide to change your tune well after the fact. I mean, it's... I don't know.
Once you lost a Michael Jackson contract where you were going to pay tribute to him. It was this in the documentary, that bit, when he goes to audition, doesn't get it. He's like laughing it. Maybe that's... I doubt that's in there.
Let's see, it says, Eugene Hernandez, the deputy director at the Film Society of Lincoln Center, also provided some details, writing, halfway through the doc, which in its first half graphically details Michael Jackson's sexual abuse of the two. I wondered why it needed to be 2 more hours. But then in its second half, it reveals the journey of the victims to be able to talk about it. He weighed in after the film as well, writing, "This is deeply moving exploration of abuse from the perspective of its victim/family. Overall, well-shaped and constructed."
Hang on, is this about the allegations or about the journey?
Well, and that's what it's saying. The first half of the documentary is about the allegations. The second half of it is about these two. And they're already making the point saying these two didn't receive any money for the movie. But I don't buy that, first off, because I'll tell you what, I don't care how much of a victim you are or not, the idea that someone is going to be... I mean, let me put it like this. If they didn't receive any money, then what is this? Just a thing to exploit their trauma? Is this some sort of weird therapy for them where they can now, you know, go after Michael Jackson through, like, what's the objective? I mean, all the time, victims receive financial compensation from their abusers. Well, they're not getting that. So why wouldn't they at least want it from the film studio doing their story? Or they're trying to do it to then push book deals or something else. Like, it's something not right about this.
Why aren't the media doing their job and just, like, shredding it to pieces? And going, like, how is he getting away with this?
Let's see. It says, as critics posted their thoughts, an army of Michael Jackson
He did make money,
fans...
didn't he do a book deal on it?
I don't know. Michael Jackson fans latched on to the attack and refuted the claims made in the film, despite the fact that it was played for the first time in Utah.
This is his Wikipedia page. So, Robson testified in Michael Jackson's defense at the People vs. Jackson trial in 2005. When Jackson was acquitted of child abuse in his case, Robson said he had slept many times in Jackson's room, but he never experienced any assault. In 2011, he approached the co-executive to Michael Jackson's estate for a job as a director on Michael Jackson The Immortal World Tour. Robson stated he wanted the job badly, but the estate ultimately chose someone else for the job. And then in 2012, he had a nervous breakdown, his career and finances and a marriage began to crumble. Then he got a book deal in 2013 saying that Michael Jackson abused him.
But, I mean, yeah, but, I mean, even
then he had a lawsuit, was dismissed. He took Jackson's estate to court and lost in 2017.
But think about it like this. Okay, some guy molested you for 7 years, and then he died. So you then want to be a part of this guy's... You know, Immortal was basically Michael's, you know, memorial movie or, you know, whatever it was. Why would your victim want to be a part of producing that?
Believe, starring illusionist and magician Chris Angel. Oh, that's not Michael Jackson, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
But you know what I mean? Like, the idea, like, could you imagine, like, oh, we have a Ted Bundy documentary series coming out produced by the one victim that got away? Like, no. That's not how trauma works. Like, I'm sorry, I work in a mental health field. This is not...
It's got a record label called MMJ, Wade Robson Creations. MMJ, I wonder what that stands for.
Oh my god. Let's see.
How did this pass the shit test with all these newspapers?
The film takes uncorroborated allegations.
There's not paper shredding it. I can't find any news. You hit Google News, they're all like buying it. It's like, let's go through all these headlines. We've got when Wade Robson met Michael Jackson, what really happened?
Well, and it says even here, the film takes
what to know about Leaving Neverland, the controversial Michael Jackson, tabloid character assassination, Michael Jackson state blasts. It's just all making it sound like Michael did it.
What even says here, the film takes uncorroborated allegations, and here's the funny thing is, you know, it's they're basically treating the story of these two as fact and then leaving it to the Jackson estate to refute it, rather than the media doing their part as unbiased reporters and saying, like, why is the Jackson estate saying the film takes uncorroborated allegations that supposedly happened 20 years ago and treats them as fact? It also accuses the filmmakers of relying too heavily on the stories of two men and ignoring the accounts of others who have said Jackson never harmed children. Like, why? I don't understand why the media, like you said, the media is treating these two and their word and the movie as if it is fact, and then just leaving it to the Jackson estate alone to push back against it. It says, now that Michael is no longer here to defend himself, Robson, Safechuck, and their lawyers continue their efforts to achieve notoriety and a payday by smearing him with the same allegations the jury found him innocent of when he was alive.
Mildly shady.
It said it did not impact those who saw the film, however, who were almost unanimous in their belief that the film presented damning evidence to support the allegations made by Robson and Safechuck. The men took time to address their critics and naysayers after the screening, while making it clear they were not paid in any way for their participation in the film. Why weren't they? That's the big thing. Who gets involved in a film that doesn't get paid? Like, I mean, realistically, if someone even consults on a film, they should get a paycheck. Like, it would be less shady if they said, oh, yeah, well, you know, we got paid for time consulting on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who works for charity in the film industry? Like, it's almost like they're trying to use that as a, well, of course we aren't lying. We didn't get paid. If we, you know, it would be shadier if we got paid. But that's not how reality works. I don't feel like there's anything I need to say to them except I understand that it's really hard for them to believe. We can only accept and understand something when we're ready. Maybe we'll never be ready. Maybe we will. That's their journey.
Like, this headline, more victims. Michael Jackson was running most sophisticated child sex abuse operation the world had ever known. Hashtag MJ2. Oh my god. Dancer who sold Michael Jackson for 1.6 billion. Yeah, and lost, obviously. Tried to sue him for 1.6 billion. Jesus Christ.
And you know what? You know what some of this is, though? It's like, again, I keep seeing this article saying, there's damning evidence, there's evidence, people are convinced, there's evidence. What? What is the evidence?
A 4-hour film, dude.
I know, you'd expect a lot in 4 hours, but I'm not seeing any.
Joe Rogan had a Brian Cox on, dude. He's not doing well, Joe Rogan. Brian Cox. So this is Brian Cox. Like, I used to, like, I believe in science now because it's just there going, if you imagine, I mean, it's really beautiful, really. The Earth is like a tennis ball. And if you think of that being a tennis ball, like, the universe is like 1 billion tennis balls. And no one can imagine 1 billion tennis balls. And we know it's true because the Big Bang. And we can see the Big Bang through my telescope. We know it's true, but we don't know whether the Big Bang started everything, or whether it started before then, or what created it. But that's science. It's just like, and it's like, we could have Mars colonies in the caves. It's just like a lot of I had a dream stuff, man. None of it's fucking science. And then they're talking about how they could bend the universe to, like, time travel. And that there is a theory for it. It's like, what? What the fuck are you going on about?
And
then it's like climate change. It's the most important thing we can deal with at the moment, climate change. Why wouldn't we? Because it's too cold, Brian, that's why. Can't do anything, too cold. And Brian Cox is that CERN guy, so he's always on the BBC just pushing weird about how magnificent the universe is without God. Just need science. 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 Like, I haven't heard any fucking science come out of your mouth yet, Brian Cox. And everyone just thinks he's amazing. The rock star scientist. No. I don't stand him. Even my mum is quite rude towards Brian Cox. And my mum is like a little sweetie. It's like, I can't stand that fucking wanker. So, Jamie, you gotta stop believing in the Bible because the Big Bang explains everything. Yeah, Joe Rogan's been really boring for a while now.
I really wonder, and maybe this is why they're doing the whole thing about these people not receiving any money for the film. I wonder if the Jackson estate could sue these guys over perjury charges and stuff. I wonder how that works because of them having sworn testimony that Jackson never touched them and then doing this. I bet that's why there's the money thing of them not getting paid for it. Because I bet they know the Jackson estate could have their asses in court and be going after them for damages. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Because the whole end of the article here is going on. Fans of Jackson and his family were shocked when they learned about the filing, given that Robson had been a crucial witness in Jackson's acquittal on similar charges in 2005. At that trial, he testified under oath that Jackson had never once touched him inappropriately or abused him during their time together. Now, 2005, this guy's 36 now, so you're talking about he was 20-something then, and Jackson supposedly lost interest in him around 14? So the guy is already 10 years after Jackson was done with him, and he's defending him, and then like another 10 or so years later, he decides to completely change his story. And it says, Robson responded to the criticism by stating, I did not believe that I was forced. I believe that I was a consenting participant in the sexual acts. Okay, well, if you believe that, then why all of a sudden has your mind changed? Like, it all follows a timeline of making money, now no longer making money, and his career not even really being relevant anymore. Who needs dance choreographers in this day and age? I mean, I'm sure the demand for that is far less than it was in the 90s when you had music videos and him working with Britney Spears. I don't know. That whole thing is ridiculous. As far as what you were saying about Brian Cox and all that, it's funny. I was watching a interview or a debate basically right before we started with this British black guy. I guess his handle or what he goes by is allegedly Dave, and a particle physicist who's studying in school, and they're debating the flat Earth, and it's mind-boggling, like how these two, like you can have allegedly this Dave guy bringing up very simple experiments that people can do to prove there isn't curvature. And it's funny because the physicist guy is again saying, well, there's room for error in science, and, when we find our errors, it then reshapes everything and this, and that. And the guy is basically saying, okay, well, you can take photos and measure, lengths of distance and plug in the amount of curvature that's supposed to be there, and it's not. And then the scientist guy is like, well, you know, what's your account of error? You know, if your eye level is off by 2 millimeters this way or that way, and you know your measurement on that way is off by a meter, and this and that, and the Dave guy is just going to him, and he's like, okay, so what? If there's a millimeter of error on one end and a meter of error on other, that's supposed to make a difference in the grand scale of the shape and size of the Earth? What are you talking about? And it's like, the scientist is just lost. I mean, lost through this whole thing. And it's like, even the whole thing with NASA and the pictures of the moon and everything, like he's going on talking about, you know, we have these pictures of the Earth, and, you know, on one of them, the size of Australia will be one size, and then the next picture, it's 2 times the size, and, you know, the sizes and shapes of everything are constantly changing in these photos. And the person's like, yeah, but, you know, if I take a picture of my hand from one angle and then take it at another angle, it seems bigger, or, you know, this, and that. And he's like, yeah, you can account for all of that, but on the shape of something, like in perspective, once you account for perspective, there's no reason in a picture of the Earth that the size of America in perspective in relation to the Earth should be 2 times its size or half its size or something like that. And the guy's just continually like, like, you know, not having any sort of way to refute what the other guy is saying. I mean, I'll hand it to them. At least they're trying to engage in a debate, but it really, like, it shows, I think it shows an arrogance on the part of people with scientific research and, you know, people in the science field, that they go into these debates with flat earth people and they don't know any of the points that are going to be brought up. Like, they almost feel so confident in the fact that the Earth is round. Like, this guy's first point he went into is he said, well, you know, NASA and the Chinese space company and, you know, this and that, they have pictures, and they've shown us pictures, and you don't need, I mean, the guy literally said, all the space agencies have shown us pictures, and what more do you need than that? And then the guy goes, yeah, well, if you look at those pictures, you know, there's duplicates of clouds, and there's, you know, it's obvious photoshopping, and even the NASA guy says, I take data, and then I interpret the data, and then I create a picture in Photoshop matching that data. But he even says in the interview, but I don't know what the Earth really looks like. I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to outer space. And it's really funny, and it really doesn't help, you know, the people that are trying to defend the globe, that they go into these debates so ill-prepared.
The only other thing that stood out, have you seen the headlines with Celine Dion's new look?
No, but I saw...
Check it out, man. Check out Celine Dion's new look. It's pretty good.
I saw headlines about her, and I think she was talking about her younger lover, and...
Yeah, check it out, man. You gotta check out her new look. It's amazing. She looks like a Holocaust victim.
I did see a picture like that. Claps back at body shamers criticizing her new appearance.
It's body shaming at its worst. That didn't look right, man.
Ugh.
Just run out of that baby blood.
Yeah. I see someone down there. Yeah, and what's next? Seriously, Celine didn't waste her time or energy on body shamers. She's getting ready to go out, close out her Las Vegas residency. She's set to headline British Summertime Music Festival. I don't know. I just, you know, it's. I'm just thinking, like, my mind is so stuck on the Michael Jackson thing, and again, how drag kids and trans kids and all of this stuff is, you know, the stuff they're cheering on and celebrating, and then they're like, Michael Jackson had a mock wedding with a child, he's such a monster, and it's like, you just wonder, like, who is approving this stuff going to print or getting published and being like, oh yeah, we won't look like complete assholes and hypocrites.
I think that's the whole point, it's just to mess with people's heads, and it works. It messes with my head. It's just to mess with people. Make them want to give up as well. Like, it makes me want to give up.
Jussie Smollett gets some.
Right, I gotta go, man.
All right. I'll catch you later this week. We can catch up. All right.
Yeah, man.
Take care, man.
All right. Yeah.